Hello everyone, welcome to Basically Neda. I am Neda, and in this video I'm going to talk about three SFF books, fantasy science fiction books, that I read this week that were Canada Reads nominees. In this video, I'm going to talk about three SFF books that I read last week. These books were nominated and were in the top 5 list of Canada Reads awards. The first two that I read were nominated in 2021, and the last one that I read was nominated in 2023. So you might wonder why I decided to read the Canada Reads nominees. Well, I first wanted to read more Canadian books from Canadian authors, because mostly I read from American or British authors. So I just wanted to find an author who's Canadian and writes SFF books that are very well known, or the ones that I would enjoy. You also might wonder, what is Canada Reads Awards? Canada Reads Awards is an annual book competition that is organized and broadcasted by CBC in 2 languages, actually. One is in French and the other one is in English. The one in English was established in 2002, and the one in French was established in 2004. I'm going to read the ones that were for the English ones, obviously, because my French is not very good, so I think it's not even existent at this time. So yeah, I'm going to stick to the English ones. During the competition, there are 5 books that are presented by a Canadian persona or celebrity that are matched with each book, and they will present and explain these books of why they should be the Canada Reads winner. And in each episode, there are 4 episodes in each year. At the end of each episode, a book is voted off until the finale, where one of the books is picked as the winner. The books are usually announced in January, and the broadcast is at the end of March. So the books have to be fiction, poetry, or play in order to be qualified for the nomination. And what happens is the bookstores in Canada, usually like Indigo, would have a special edition of them. Publishers will try to get them out with a special sticker that says Canada Reads nominee, blah blah blah, like 2023 or whatever, just to get the public audience to read these books in order to vote for them and get them to win. What do these books get at the end? The winner will get part of the sales of its a portion of its sales sent to a charity that is part of the organization for literacy in that field. The government also helps out to the authors. The Canadian Council of Arts gives payments to over 18,000 Canadian authors annually through the Public Lending Rights program as the compensation for free public access through the Canadian libraries. Now, let's talk about the books. I read the books that had said they are fantasy or science fiction by Goodreads. If Goodreads says those are science fiction or fantasy, then I pick those. So I decided to pick the more newer released ones. So in 2021, there was 2 books that I picked from there. In 2022, I didn't see any in the Canada Reads list that were set as to be science fiction. So science fiction or fantasy. So then I moved on to 2023, and there were 2 books in there, but I picked one. Well, I technically picked 2, but one came, the other one didn't come. My holds was just didn't come. So the first book I read, it was The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk. This book was published in 2020 and was part of the 5 nominees in 2021. The Goodreads says that it is in the genres of fantasy, romance, historical fiction, young adult. It also says that it was published by Erewhon Books, but then I also went into Indigo Books website, which is a big chain of the Canadian bookstores where these books are actually sold and advertised as the Canada Reads books of that year. So in that website, it says that it was published by Kensington Books. So I'm just guessing maybe it was because it was first released as by one publisher, and then when it was nominated for the Canada Reads in 2021, it just got moved to another publisher for some reason to get that sticker on it and be put out as the Canada Reads. Canada Reads. This book is about a teenage girl named Beatrice Claiborne, who loves to practice magic in secret, because women are not allowed to practice magic or do any magic in this world, because if they do, then during their pregnancy, their unborn child will be affected by it and they'll be born as like monsters or something like that. So she's also being put into this year's of bargaining season, which is kind of like the cotillion coming out kind of thing, where the young ladies are presented as new potential for the bachelors who want to get married. So in this story, Beatrice's father has put a lot of money into this and is now in debt, so she has to go through the bargaining season, and the story goes on from there. It was kind of cute, and like everything closed up in like a nice little bow and everything was cute, but my thing with this was that it was more of a young adult book than something that I would say would be in the Canada Reads nomination. In my point of view, I would say this would be something for White Pine Awards, which is for the younger audience in 14 to 18-year-olds from grade 9 to 12. And this didn't actually hit the note for me. It wasn't something that was out of ordinary to be high on the list. And I just found it was just ordinary. It was just a fantasy romance, historical fantasy romance with a teenager. It was cute. It was nice to read. It was easy to read. But it was a 3-star for me, and it didn't hit the note. So I don't know why it was on the Canada Reads list or the 2021 list, and I think it just got taken out on the first round. So it says something about the pick of the public. The second book that I read was Hench by Natalie Zina Walschots. I'm trying to say it right. I don't know. I'm sorry. So, according to Goodreads, this was published in 2020 by William Morrow Books. And the genres that are listed are fantasy, science fiction, superhero, LGBTQ, and it is adult. In the Indigo Store's website, it is, the other one, the Midnight Bargain at Indigo, was also sold in the adult section of the science fiction and fantasy, which was kind of like, why? If it's something that is for young adults, why is it being sold in the adult section? So back to Hench. In Indigo website, it is said that it was published on September 22nd in 2020, the same as Goodreads, but the publisher is said to be HarperCollins. It is sold in science fiction and fantasy, as well as, the other one. It was also one of the top 5 in the 2021 Canada Reads nominees. I think this one got kicked out on the third book, as a third book that got kicked, like number 3 that was not on the list would be taken out. So Midnight Bargain was 5, this was 3. This book is about a temp agent named Anna, who works for a super villain agency and goes for one temp job to another temp job. At one of her jobs, a superhero is trying to save a boy, and he saves the boy but hurts her, so she is now in the hospital and doesn't have a job, and then comes home and is now trying to figure out what to do. So she ends up researching about how other people have been hurt by superheroes, and she writes about it in social media. She goes viral, and then a supervillain recruits her to his team, and the story goes from there. This was a very fun book to read. It was very fast-paced and action-packed. It is humorous. It has drama. There's mystery in it, and there's office politics, which was kind of cute and funny at the same time. There is a bit of swearing and graphics in it, but it is done in a tasteful way where it is needed to have that effect of the story for the reader. It was very fast-paced. I love that the plot was going really fast. We also get to learn about the characters, and it was like it hit the note. It hit the note in some ways, but then I didn't think it was that high. Like it wasn't like out of the like high on the writing, or the highest in out of the ordinary. For it to be a 5, like for me, it wasn't a 5. It was just a really high 4. Like I would say it's like a 4.5, but I gave it a 4 on Goodreads. So yeah, this book deserved to be on the Canada Reads book. Yes, definitely. This was an adult book. This was a book that was written by a Canadian author who is writing for adults, and I do think that this was pretty good to be on there. The second book that I was going to read, like I had 2 other books that I picked, because in the 2022 list there wasn't any SFF books that I saw in there. So in 2023 there was 2 books. The first one that I saw was Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, and then the second one that I saw was Mexican Gothic by Silvia Marina Garcia. So Station 11 came on the Libby app for me, but Mexican Gothic just didn't arrive on time for me to do the review on it. So I just decided to maybe put that on for another review later on. You might hear it when I talk about it at the end of my September wrap-up or something like that. So Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel is set to be published on September 9th, 2014 on Goodreads, and the genres that is listed is a science fiction, dystopian, post-apocalyptic, fantasy, and it is adult. On the Indigo website, it says that it is sold as fiction, so it's not science fiction. It is literary. It's just that's why it's a fiction. And it was released. The version that they have was released in 2017 by HarperCollins. Yeah, and it's also their staff pick, so it must be very good, right? This book is about the collapse of civilization. A virus has wiped out 90% of the population, and we read the story of an actor, Hollywood star from Toronto, who and we see about his life, and a traveling band with a theater production in the future, and how it all comes down together. The story goes back and forth between the events of that virus breaking out, and then goes to the future where the traveling production is. So the future is like 20 years later. It jumps back and forth between each storyline, and then it's written well. You get to understand why it goes back and forth, and it makes sense at the end. My only problem with this was that I wanted more of the characters while I was reading it. If the characters were, like, the story of those characters were clumped more together than jumping fast and coming back and forth, that would have made it a lot better for me. It was really nice to read. It was a fast pace. The plot went nicely, and it was a really nice read. It just didn't give me that like the unique part that I thought it would be, like the high note. So I gave it a 4 star instead of a 5. It definitely does need to be in whatever of word that it needed to get, because it is very well written. It is something that not many people have read about. Like, yes, we lived part of it in 2020, but it is so much more than that. It is about humanity and how people react towards those kind of situations. I do think that it should have been in the Canada Reads list a lot earlier. If it was published in 2017, why wasn't it, or 2014, why wasn't it picked up in those years? That was a little bit weird for me. In conclusion, will I ever read any of these authors? Yes, I will definitely read Emily St. John Mandel, like any books from her, and any books from Natalie, Zina, Walschots. But I kind of don't want to read any more of C.L. Polk, because her writing wasn't really towards me, and it wasn't really my taste. So because of that, I'm not going to pick up any more first. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. If you have any recommendations of any authors or Canadian books, the SFF books, science fiction and fantasy books, please let me know down in the comments. If you have read any of these books and you like them or you don't like them, just let me know as well. And if you like this video, please press the like button. If you want to see more of my content, please subscribe and press the notification button. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.